Yo, this is it. I'm Mr. Fate, and you're listening to Attacking the Beats on IllMuzik.com. Once again, another 5 beats, another 5 reviews, and I'm trying to play catch up again. Got a lot of beats here to review, so some of these are kind of old, I guess. I don't know. But I'm getting to them, so that's the most important part. But yeah, so anyway, we'll get into it right away. First up, we've got Krog 85 with Lion. Let's check it out. Alright. Okay, so that was Krog 85 with Lion. Alright, so on this one, the music's nice. I like that because it sounds like this old school, eerie, old vampire movie or something like that. Something like one of those things. So I like that. It's a nice eerie sound to it and all that stuff. And you managed to put that with this, new school beat. It's like trap type beat, whatever, and it works very well. I like it. The 808 is a little heavy, but it sits well in the mix. That's the important part here, okay? Is that it's not overwhelming because, oftentimes I say that on the show, you got people using 808 a lot and everything, and, it's important to just use it sporadically, whatever. So, like even I have a beat, actually I just mixed down, I think it was yesterday, and, I just use it, within 4 bars, let's say. I use it maybe twice. But it doesn't resonate very long either, so that's why it's good the way you did it. And I like everything else. The drums are nice and everything, and the drum work. I like the way you put everything together. Everything just fits very well. Nice little breakdown. The intro is a little long, but that's all right. I mean, it's still a 2-minute beat. It's good. And I think the only real complaint is the snare. And I have this problem too. I think everybody does. Is that you have this snare. I mean, it's a little loud in the mix, I find, the snare. And I think the reason why I'm saying that too is because the snare itself, the sound, it's a very dry sound, and that's why I usually recommend to people to put some kind of reverb on your snare, maybe some kind of compression or something, because I just think that the drums, for example, or especially the snare, should be treated somehow with effects, because maybe you did do that, I don't know, but from what I hear in the mix, it just sounds like this dry snare smacking. Because, the thing is, when you listen to a mix like this, any mix on small speakers, the main thing you're going to hear come out of a small speaker is the high end part, so that's going to be this hard smacking dry snare. So that's why, I just like to treat it somehow. So if you can just put some sort of effect, just to kind of give it like this wetness, if you will, or whatever, So it's not a big deal, but it's something that I try to do in my mixes and stuff. It's something I've been looking at more often lately. So Yeah, but other than that, I like the beat. It's good, very dope, very well put together, and yeah, good stuff. All right, so next up we got Decria, or Decria. I Was a Terror. Let's check it out. All right. I guess that was Decria, I guess it's pronounced. Anyway, I Was a Terror. All right, so for this beat, it's interesting because I don't know what stage you're at in beat making, all right? And but what I used to do a long time ago was stuff like this, where I would take a sample, I'd loop it, and I'd add some kind of drum break on top, or even my own drums, whatever on top. And what happens is you end up with this beat that you have this. It's basically like a sample looped over and over with drums on top. So that's basically the way it turns out, and it's okay. It's fine like that. And I think if you're just starting out, let's say, you need to understand that it's more than just that. I think this is a great starting point. So even if you've been doing beats for years, fine, you could still come up with something like this, but you should do something with it, because I've heard people that, been doing beats for a long time and they still do stuff like this. But I wouldn't just call it a day, because I think what it is that when you're making beats is that you end up with, it just sounds good to you as you're making it. If you come back to it a few days later or a week later, you're going to listen to it and go, it's not that good, or it's kind of dry, everything. Maybe I should add something to it or something like that. So, because that's the problem when you use break beats or whatever, is that you're just throwing it on top of whatever melody you've created. So, what I suggest you do with something like this is you can still use a drum break, but make it more the centerpiece, I would say, the break beat, because obviously using the break beat to carry this beat, so I would make it as a centerpiece, because this drum break, it sounded like it was more pan to the right or whatever, and I wouldn't do that. Just have it dead center, and don't just use the break as is. You can EQ that break, add some effects to it, so it gives it a different flavor. It doesn't sound like just that break. Like let's say, for example, you used the Top Billin' break, from years ago. You use that. Everybody knows that drum break, but if you add some effects to it, like a drum delay or something like that, it would be totally different right there. And that's just the drums. Then you could add your guitar on top, and then you got something that sounds a lot better. Then you could just change up your guitar. You have a part where you just have a low pass on it or something, or you could just keep it the way you have it and start adding stuff to it. You could add some strings to it. You could add some I don't know, piano or something, just or horns or whatever, because it's a fast beat. You can maybe add some horns, whatever. But anyway, the point is that you could basically do something with this. That's why I try to tell people, don't just settle for something like this. You don't want to add too much stuff, but at the same time, you don't want to make it too dry either. So it's like baking a cake. You know what I mean? So But yeah, all right. Okay, so next up we got These Beats with Starstruck. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was These Beats with Starstruck. All right, so for this one, it's a great beat, man. I love it. It's really good, really on point. You know, everything has its place. It's mixed very well. That's the main thing. I think you had mentioned to me a while back how you're focusing a lot on mixing and all that stuff, and it's really important. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that they're not crazy about mixing. And I know that, like in the music industry, you have people that's what they do. They're mix engineers. That's, you know, just send them your music. They'll mix it for you. And, you know, you could do that if you have the money and the resources. But it's just, I think all beat makers and producers should still know some stuff about mixing. I mean, you know, so that's why your mixes sound very good, very tight. And I like the sound of everything. Everything sounds good, especially that vocal snippet you got playing throughout. Very nice. I think the only thing was the kick. I don't know. I was just listening to the kick a lot because I know you have the bass that's kind of carrying the low end, if you will. So, but when you listen to the other kicks, okay, like not the beginning kick, but let's say the third kick, whatever, like towards the end of the bar, you know, you hear the kick on its own, or like towards the end of the beat where you have a little breakdown. That's when you can just hear the kick, and it just sounds like this kind of a bit of a shallow, compressed, punchy kick. You know what I mean? And it's okay. I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm just saying that I just expected the kick to be have more depth. You know, they'd be thicker to sit in the mix and all that stuff, because it just kind of sounds a little thin on the low end. So, like I said, I know you get the bass line to cover that part, but I'm just saying, like other parts, like the breakdown part, you can clearly hear it, obviously, because you took the bass out, but you can clearly hear it if you had a thicker kick, or even just in that breakdown part, if you just added made the kick thicker in that part. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's a very nice beat. I like it. It's smooth, and it's definitely Starstruck. All right, so next up we got EXE with Peace. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was EXE with Peace. So for this one, here's the thing. You have this sample, famous sample, and it just goes E and then E at the end. That part, that second part, that's what throws off the melody. Okay, and it's not that part really. It's just because of what you play to that part. Because with the other music you have, like your bass and all that stuff, it clashes with that part of the sample. And so the thing with that is, see, what I like to do is sometimes I'll have a sample and I make my melody, whatever. Then when I go to add, sometimes I'll add something else to it. So for example, I'll add, let's say, some Rhodes keyboard, for example, right? So what I'll do is, instead of just playing on top, because I don't know what key the sample's in, right? So I'll just play the Rhodes on top of it, but I don't just play like whatever. So what I'll do is I'll have, for example, like the first, like the beginning of the bar, let's say, I'll play a certain note to that sample, to that part of the sample at the beginning of the bar. And I'll just try to just keep playing it over and over, just try to get my Rhodes to be in key with that sample. Okay, so I know, okay, I can play that. So the second part, like your sample, the second part, do that especially. Just keep playing around with your instrument to match the sample, and just to get that right key, even if it's just one key, one little keyboard key. Like just do that, and then once you have that, then you can expand from that. So I think that's all you need to do, really, is just to get the right key to match that, because the first part's fine. It's just that when you get to that second part of the sample, it just sounds out of tune with what you're playing, So that's the only thing you need to fix, really. I like the drum work, the way that it's just sporadic, it's coming in and out. The bass is a little heavy, but still, everything's nice. I like the way you put everything together. For me, it's a sample. I was just listening a lot to the sample and thinking, because when you had the breakdown, when you just hear the sample, I'm listening and thinking, it sounds fine. It's a sample. It's fine. It's just when you play along with it, that's where you have a problem. So that's the only thing you need to do. You just keep playing until you get that right key in on that part, and then you can, branch out from there and try something else. But yeah, so give that a shot. All right, so next up we got the last beat. It's Frontman Willie with Bar Spitter. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Frontman Willie with Bar Spitter. All right, so this beat, here's the thing. I love the drum work. That's really good. That's what really stood out for me, was the drum work. That's some dope shit right there. A couple little scratches here. The effects that you had, a little effect thing you had. And I think all that sounded great. It's just the trumpet. The thing is that you have this trumpet, these horns that sound like orchestra horns, and it just kind of sounds empty going with the drum work that you have and all that stuff. It just kind of sounds like it doesn't, not that it doesn't match up, but just, you know, just like it just kind of, there's something missing. So I'm thinking to myself, well, they're orchestra horns, so you should have some orchestra strings with that. I think that'd be perfect, because I'm listening to these horns, I'm thinking this is something from like almost like some like Superman movie or something like that. So let's say you have, you know, these like orchestra strings coming in, like a whole orchestra piece playing. Put that with your horns. I think that will really help the beat, you know, especially that you're calling it bar spitter. I'm assuming this is going to be something, you know, you're gearing more towards MCs to be spitting over, so has some strings that'll make it even more of a monumental beat, you know what I mean? So just try that. I mean, I don't know what you're using. If you're using some kind of a string plug-in, try that, man. You can do tons of shit with that. Put that with the trumpet, because I'm listening to the trumpet. To me, that's the focal point of this beat, those trumpets. And the drums, you know, complement it nicely, but there's still something that's missing there and all that stuff. So it's good shit. I mean, it's still good for, you know, for spitting, but still, you know, I just think that you should add some strings on that, and that'll make it even better, way better. So, all right, so that's it for me. I'm Mr. Fade. This is Attack of the Beats. Keep sending your beats in. I'll keep reviewing them. And my favorite beat is, the winner is, drum roll please, These Beats with Starstruck. Let's check it out.